Here we go. Hi, everyone.
Does this work? I hope it works.
It should be working. So, hi, and welcome to our stream with devs. We are devs.
That's us.
My name is Natasha Skult, and
I'm Natasha Skult.
yeah, we are not related. We're married.
Yes.
I think that's clear enough. And yeah, we are the ones to blame for Clay: The Last Redemption lore, visuals, and everything else behind. So we are super happy to be here and get feedback also on the game. And also the reason for this particular session is, besides playing the demo ourselves and discussing it with you, but also share some insights on certain design choices, why narrative game, why visuals in a certain way that as they are, and also what are our plans for the actual final release of the content-wise.
If you have any questions or comments or anything you'd like to know more about, then just ask in the chat, I guess. I think we can see it here, so that should work.
Yes, we can.
And we'll just sort of answer. It's not exactly a super fast-paced game, so like we can pause at any time and chat with you as well, so it should be fine. But let's get going then, I guess.
Yes, we shall do that. So yeah, once again, feel free to comment, give feedback, or also ask questions in the chat. I will keep my eye definitely on the chat, while Petter will be playing the game. And let's launch it. So give me a second to...
It's going to be a little bit problematic to figure out where we're supposed to have ourselves.
No, we are here where we should be, in
Okay.
the corner,
Right.
and now they can see us. So press play and run with it.
Ooh.
Here we go. I'll take the dog, thank you.
Oh yes, we have dogs.
We have dogs everywhere.
They might say something.
Yes.
Oh yeah, by the way, I'm the one who wrote things, designed things, and coded things.
I am the one who draws stuff.
She made all the pretty stuff. Yeah, she made all the art and I made everything else.
Just had a bit of impact on the design.
Yes.
Slight. Well, he doesn't want to admit it how much, but just slight.
All right, here we go. I'm not gonna like read all the text. You can play the demo yourselves to try it. But this is sort of one of the first pieces of text I also wrote for it, and it stayed there throughout, even through a lot of changes. But we'll see if it stays there until the end. This fun little click to continue was there because I got some very last minute feedback for the demo that people don't know that this ... means that you're supposed to click to continue. So let's click to continue. This is the character creator. You can choose between your portrait and your pronouns separately. I haven't decided if it's worth it to have a player name, but it might be. But currently, the name of the scion who you're playing is not super important. So let's just be as neutral as we possibly can. And more portraits will be added. That's just a matter of adding them. They do exist. Yeah, and as you are the sort of the scion, right? You're the son or daughter or child of the chieftain who is dying. You are going to be the next chieftain, and this kind of this is I wanted to make it sort of the skills that you can have. This is an RPG basically, although it's kind of difficult to fully define. But as an RPG, you have to have certain skills and stuff, and I wanted to have something that really sort of described you as a chieftain or as a future chieftain. That's the reasons for sort of the naming behind this sort of war chief, pact maker, trickster. Now, for testing purposes, I'm just going to be very boring, and unless anyone has any opinions, and just go like the most well-rounded chieftain in the universe. And then this is another really important choice that you get to do right from the start, which is pick your companion. Now, during the course of the game, you're going to have a chance to pick up more companions. These are the five 5 possible companions. You're going to be able to pick up more of them, but the one that you start with is sort of very important in the beginning, because they give you like an extra skill point basically in something, or they give you something that you wouldn't get otherwise. But it's at this point, if you don't know anything about the game, you basically just look at the portrait and read the text and sort of pick whichever one you think looks the nicest. I am going to pick Valfric.
I always go with Bar. I just love her. But let's go with Walfrid.
Yes, I'm just for sort of reasons of you can go back and like redo if you want to, but this is sort of confirm. All right, character created. Click to continue. Still there, very usefully. So originally I actually had a slightly different beginning, but then I realized that it was best to throw you directly into the action. So what's happened is basically that you are on your first work crew, your first work crew outside of the corral. Now all of this is going to be super confusing if you haven't read anything that we posted previously about the world, but that's okay. Like if you open up a book and you start reading, this is the first stuff you read on the first page. You might not understand immediately what's going on either, but you will eventually. That's kind of what I've been going for with the writing, as far as I'm concerned. That sort of, just read, and it'll all be clear. So what happened is, that unfortunately your crew chief decided to take a shortcut through a forest, which was not a good idea.
Well, shortcuts are usually bad ideas. It's kind of like, but yeah.
So what's happened is now that he has the crew chief has been stolen by this creature that sort of turned up suddenly, snatching him up and running away with him. And suddenly everything is chaos, and there's no leader anymore. And then your companion, of course this would be, depending on who you picked as your companion, would say different things here. Tells you that something has to be done, and then you get your first task. Whoop. So this also, the starting here was sort of meant to teach you very quickly how the game works, and it very much sort of throws you into the deep end, and that's also kind of on purpose, as you can see here, because you have these 3 options. You have to start organizing the chaos around you, and as you can see here, there's 1 out of 1. That means that you can pick this. Now you can pick all of these because I took 1 in each stat. These are things that are generated from your stats. This is a stratagem, which is generated from your war chief. Convincing arguments is generated from pact maker, and unconventional ideas are generated from your trickster. So it's not something that exists in a lot of games. It's very sort of unique. So let's just try to pick one of these. Item lost.
I want to do one thing before we continue, because I think our sound is very loud. There we go. Now it's much better that we can. There.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Going.
Yeah. So what happened is that you managed to distract the bots, and you managed to get to your sleds to get some stuff, whatever you found there. And this is a central screen of our UI. Here you can see what's on the sled. There's a spark blanket, some rations, and some pure clay that you managed to find. But here's also your inventory with everything else. You have your inventory of stuff that you just picked up. You have your crew, which currently is just you and Valfric. You have the concepts inventory. This is something I actually stole from Fallen London and Sunless Seas and Sunless Skies, which is a huge inspiration for this game, which is that sort of that concepts, things that aren't physical, are also items in this game. And then you have your tasks sort of inventory, which is just your tasks. And these are very important. These are your efforts. You can see here what kind of things your crew can do currently. These are from you, and this is from Valfric, which you can see here. Alright, so we got that. now I can still do these other. Now this one unlocked, but I'm gonna do these. I'm gonna organize the warriors, and as you can see, it's the same thing. So you can sort of pick them up, and now they went to the crew, and then I can also gather the tribesmen, and so basically because I have all of the 3 stats, I could do all 3 of these things. If I have missed one of those stats, I couldn't have done all of these 3 things. So that's, you immediately have a choice and consequence. All right, so you see that this situation got a little bit less difficult because I gathered all of these resources first. Right, and this is our other super unique piece of UI. Basically everything in this game is, there's a lot of dragging and dropping. Basically what you do, like mechanically, a lot of it has to do with using your resources that you have. You have these challenges, and then you have to pick your approach, how you want to solve it. And these all also correspond to your skills. You have a war chief approach, a trickster approach, and a pact maker approach. Sometimes you have a 4th approach as well. But in this case, you only have these 3 possible approaches. And the same thing can often be used in multiple different ways. If you want to try pact maker, you can. This is a spark blanket, which is a kind of a blanket made out of wires, clay, and spark parts, which can be used to disable bots. And if you use it as a war chief, then you will use it to kill them. As a trickster, you can use it to, confuse them. The same thing goes for these. These are your efforts. So currently you have specialist shaman, which comes from, you can see here, if you read up there in the middle, you can see sort of description of what will happen. And you can use him in all of these, but the effect is different depending on how you want to use him. Warriors can also be used in various ways. They're most effective as a war chief, but it depends. And labor are sort of your basic tribesmen. As you can see, they're a lot less effective than your other things. So what I'm going to do here now, because I know how to solve this, is I am going to use this spark blanket to disable some bots. And you can see now my chance of success has gone up to 57%. And then I'm going to tell Valfrig to also help me, but I'm not going to help go the whole way. I'm just going to go to there. 93%, that's plenty. I'm going to try Pact Maker. On success, a peaceful solution. Oh, shoot! I had a 6% chance of failure, and of course I got it because why not? But that's good.
That's the chance?
Yeah. So I'm on the defensive, and what happens basically that when something bad happens to you, you are faced with this kind of consequence. This is the result of a lot of design effort actually. Basically, somebody gets hurt. That's what happened here, and it picked these 3 randomly from my inventory. It picked 2 warriors and 1 tribesman, and I get to pick 1 here to sacrifice. Now I'm considering my warriors to be, that's their job, is to get hurt, not my tribesmen, so I'm going to have this one get hurt. And you see, I got a wounded tribesman as a result. Alright. But it's now easy because it's basically done. I think I can solve this. Come on. Yes! So, even though I managed to hurt someone, I still managed to disperse the custodian bots and continue on. And here are a couple of more recruits who snuck in after we were already done with the fighting. And you can see my poor wounded tribesman. And as you can see, I lost 1 shaman effort, and I don't have any of my own personal efforts left because I used all of those up. But that's okay. Alright. Do you want to say anything about this art, this beautiful art?
Not yet. I'll explain later why things look as they are, including UI UX stuff.
You can open this one whenever you want to, by the way, if you feel like it. If you forget what your task is, you can go here and look.
Yeah. I mean, one thing about the efforts and so on, I mean, the whole point is that because you are also getting these things back, obviously, once you rest and so on, so there's nothing to worry about in these things. If you are, I mean, as you are using them.
So now we're chasing after Nuri, our crew chief, and eventually we come across a very strange scene. Now, of course, you don't know how strange this scene is, but it is a very strange scene, even for the city. This seems to be why they're so angry.
Angry bots.
You got
Oh no.
some new tasks, and there you find Nuri, poor Nuri. So the first thing, the reason also, one reason we have to get to Nuri is because we need to get his ombroscope, whether he's alive or dead. And the ombroscope is something that you will soon be introduced to. He gives it to you. The ombroscope is necessary in order to traverse the city. You found yourself a new glyph. Uh-oh. There it comes. So, it interrupted you, and now you have to suffer a consequence again. So I'm just gonna put another warrior here. 4 warriors. There we go.
I mean, that's why you have warriors, right?
Mm-hmm. There to protect your civilians.
Because if you push civilian, wouldn't
Now,
be nice.
if I would have had saved my unconventional idea, or if I would have had 2 trickster, then I could use this to lure away the guardian. But luckily I have the ombroscope, so I'm just going to open that. Now this is a little device that you have that you can use to communicate with the city. This is the message that the city bot has sent you, and you don't know what any of these glyphs mean. And these are your glyphs. You currently only know one, which is your authorization. This is a code that you're giving to it. By putting it here and pressing here, you through light you communicate with this horrible giant machine. Not so horrible.
Not just machine like this. Basically anything around is
the city is alive.
The city is alive, exactly,
Yes.
and you communicate with it through ombroscope.
So now it went away. We told it that we were a work crew basically, and it went like, okay.
Keep working.
So we collected him. There he is. Save Nuri. Good work. And now it's time to get away from here. Yeah. So task completed. Yay. This gives us, when we complete tasks and so forth, we of course get various things. One of the most important things that we get are these tales of. We got a tale of trickery for being a little clever with things, and some tales of bravery for saving Nuri. And there are various kinds of these, and these are like sort of concepts. They're not physical things, but they're very useful in various ways. But yeah, so those are the most common reward that you get. And here we go, map. Yeah. So one thing that we actually don't mention anywhere I don't think we talk about it. This map is actually largely procedurally generated. Like a lot of it is not, but some parts of it are. And yeah. This you're taking your sort of first step as a leader in the city, away from the woods, and you get a new task to return to the corral. The corral is where the tribe lives. It's their home, the one safe place where they're allowed to sort of exist in peace. So as you can see, everything is made out of these hexes.
Hexagons.
Hexagons are great.
Bestagons, no.
And in the hexes are various things. This is you, of course. Here's, for example, a danger hex. That means that there's something bad there that we don't know what it is, and we shouldn't go there.
You can.
You can, yeah. This is a ruin, which you can't enter currently because you don't have the glyphs needed for it. This is some food which you can scavenge if we need to, but currently we're just trying to get back to the corral. We can follow here our path. But a few steps in, we realize that we've run out of energy, which is not a surprise, because we were pretty exhausted when we were going back anyway. as the tutorial here says, that you need to rest when you run out of energy. There's a couple of there's the UI up here. You can see here's our food, how many rations we have. We found one ration in the sled, or we would have no rations. This is our condition. This is actually our personal condition, as in your condition. If this goes to 0, then you die. And this is the time until the crew is exhausted. You can also sort of see here how many, quick glance, how many tribesmen and so forth we have. And this is how many days, which is going to be important. So, we're exhausted, let's rest. This is the camp menu, very important. Look at the doggy.
Dogs are important, always companions. Animals,
now,
not the best.
This game, the saving, I also wanted it to be exhausted, that you got exhausted and had to camp as soon as possible, because when you camp and rest, you actually save the game. You don't save it otherwise, you only save it in camp. I did that mainly because I wanted to avoid situations where you accidentally put yourself somewhere where you will just get in a loop of an instant death and constant death. You can still do that, but usually after resting and camping, you should be healthy enough to not die immediately and should be able to get away from things. But you have 2 wounded crew. Oh no! So if you try to rest with wounded crew, which in this case we have, then you need to have some herbs or some shamans to keep them healthy while you rest. Otherwise they might die. Now, we didn't find any herbs on the actual sled, but we do have a shaman with us, so we could just use this one to do it, or we could loot for some herbs. But I think we can use the shaman. That's why we have him.
Mm-hmm.
So that lost 1 effort, but it will come back. Ta-da! There, now we've saved. Everyone has rested. Our condition is back to full.
Time to go
and
home.
No one died. Yes. So now I could just have you pathfind the whole way there, but I don't know what we're going to meet, so I'm just going to be a little bit more careful. So as I mentioned, oh shoot,
Sorry.
I ran straight into a danger zone because I wasn't paying attention. There we go.
It's okay.
So we're pretty close to the corral, so things aren't really that dangerous here. This is probably just a loose bot, but this shows how things work in the city. Basically, the boss bot is asking you what you're doing here, so you can open your ombroscope, and this is what it's telling you, but you don't know what it's saying, but it's saying something. But you're just gonna try the one thing you can try, which is that I'm a work crew. Okay, it parses my answer, and then it seems to be waiting for input. So I could say something else to it, but I'm just gonna close my ombroscope.
And run?
Oh, Sidaisy did not like that. Now,
I try to run always, but
yeah,
sometimes it works.
Sometimes the thing works, but sometimes it doesn't, because one of the things I wanted to sort of really do with this is that although you can communicate with the city, you have to learn what it's trying to tell you, and saying the same thing over and over might work sometimes, but not necessarily. In a lot of cases with these easy encounters, it does work by just giving them your work crew authorization, but not in this time. It probably, I don't know what it wanted from me. So here's a little bit interesting. It's giving you a wounded tribesman as an option, which is not good. If you pick this one, then that means you're sacrificing a wounded, leaving that one behind. Not nice. You also got a stratagem here because you rested, so you got your efforts back. So you can, oops. Ah.
What are you doing? Don't do that. There we go.
Yes. So you can see here that
I'm just gonna do this so I see what's happening.
Yeah.
I don't know what you did.
We are.
Yeah, that's cool.
So you see, you got all your efforts back here. That's your conventional ideas, stratagems, and so forth, and your shaman effort, and specialist, and labor, and everything else. So you got everything back, which is very nice. But this one is very handy also. You can pick yourself. You can usually pick yourself in this because that will hurt you. Like, it will hurt you up here. Nah, we don't want to do that. So, but we have this one. So we just get a strategy and get away safely. No worries. So a lot of the things that you do in the game can be solved in various ways like this. Oh, what's this? Ooh, an encounter. We can come across some tracks. These are random encounters that sort of they repeat. They're not unique. All right, I used my stratagem, so I can do it. Darn it. But they basically let you use your special skills for various things and for various sort of benefits. I'm not gonna waste time on this because I don't have a stratagem, so I'm very unlikely to succeed. Alright, here we go, almost home. There we go. The corral, the one safe place for the LBR people. Here we are. So this is the sort of the central hub of the game. This is where you return between everything you do. It's a safe place. It's where everyone lives, almost. It's the one place where the city and the robots won't bother you. It's the one place that they consider, for whatever reason, consider to be your sort of home.
Before you go forward, I just want to do one thing. There we go. So I can see what's happening in chat.
Nice.
At least I would like to see there. Yeah, there we go. Now you can go back.
Yeah.
And
So what happened here now is that you're going to see your Baba. Now, as mentioned, the chieftain is dying, that's your father. And when the chieftain is not around, then the elders are usually the ones in charge. That's the kind of society we've got going here. And your Baba, your grandmother, happens to be one of the most powerful elders. She is now giving you sort of your base quest, the starting quest, shall we say, for this whole thing. As mentioned, you need to
the things you need to
you
prove
need
yourself.
you need to prove yourself. Yeah, you need to. You are becoming the new chieftain, so you need to prove to the people, because although you are becoming the new chieftain, you're supposed to become the new chieftain. The elders are actually the ones who will elect the next chieftain, and it's not necessarily you. And she's also there's also something else that's sort of bothering her, but I'm gonna let you guys read about that because we don't have time for everything now, do we?
No.
Yeah. Now you're also being given here the ombroscope. I can totally use that. Oh, I know how to use it. The ombroscope is a very sort of powerful and unique device, or not unique, but powerful and sort of ancient device that has been sort of passed down for a long time in the tribes. There's, I mean, yours is not the only one, but they're very important. As you could see, I already had to use it several times on the short way back, although it didn't always work out. The glyphs and so forth, you learn just the one now, but you can learn more as you play, and you will learn more, and you will also learn what the other glyphs mean. And as you learn what the glyphs mean, you can also understand what the city is saying to you. Well, here you go, your first tasks, your first shift. So, your first job is to, within 12 days, somehow get enough 5 trust. Walfrid wants to talk to you. This is just there's going to be in the full game a lot more interactions with your companions. Currently they have some comments always now and again, and they sort of, you can learn a little bit about their past and so forth, but they will have their whole own storylines, their own tasks, their own things that they want to
question things, and
to learn more about them and gain their trust and so forth. Right, so now we're doing one of the other central parts of the game, which is recruitment. Recruitment is a little bit special in the city. So basically what you have to do, what you learned at this point, is that you have to do these things called boss tasks for some reason. They have very special names, but this is what the names they have when wait, let's see. I'm going to use this one. And eventually you'll also learn sort of what they are. They're all a little bit unique. They all have their slight their own things. It says here very specifically that it requires labor tribesmen. So here's a familiar thing again. Basically, when you recruit recruit your crew, what you're doing is you're convincing a bunch of people, tribesmen, to come with you, that you will lead them into the city, which is dangerous, as we saw, to do a complicated task that needs to be done, or everything will go very badly. So your job is to try to convince as many as possible to come with you, or not as many as possible, as many as you need, basically. So you can use, for example, arguments. That's very simple. Let's just convince some people. Now you have a 50% chance. That's a little bit sort of rough. You get these recruiting tokens. These are sort of like your get out of jail free cards that are like, even if you are not good at convincing people, you can still get some just by using these tokens. There we go, 5 tribesmen. You have a set number of these recruitment things. Now, the very first time you do it, you have a lot because people are interested in you. This is the first time you're doing it, so it's pretty easy to get some people. I'm gonna get a couple of warriors. There we go. Good. But one of the more important things, once you run out of your own sort of stories and so forth, what you can do is use the tales that you've gathered. These are also an important part of the recruitment process. So, for example, these tales of trickery are mainly useful for, well, shamans like them a little bit, but the clay workers like them a lot. Tales of bravery are very much liked by tribesmen, so I'm just going to use a couple of those. There.
And as you might have noticed, the task itself requires tribesmen,
Yeah.
so that's why
So
he is picking them.
Yes, that's why we want a lot of tribesmen, as we can see here. All right, 50%. Well, that's a little bit risky. But what if we do this? Now I'm gonna get either one of these two. All right, tribesmen. Yay. So as you can see, this one remains. So you didn't waste it, unless I don't get them now, in which case I have wasted it. But luckily I have a tale of trickery, so that should 87%. That seems pretty lucky. And there we go. So now I got a clay worker too. So there's my crew. I got 10 tribesmen, 2 warriors, a clay worker, and then of course I have Valfrig, who is a shaman. Great. So you have to do this every time when you get your crew together, and that's kind of a central aspect of how you build your group. Your group is like an extension of your character in that sense, and whenever you finish a task, your group is disbanded and they go back to their to their homes. They're not like, except for your companions and certain other permanent members of your work crew, everyone else is just there for the work. And that's kind of, so depending on what kind of work you need, you sort of gather different people. There's lots of stuff to do here. Let's say get some supplies. As a worker, you have a right to get some rations. It considers you to be as good as anyone else. There we go. Good. Now I have rations. You can do some crap. You can pick up a community task, which are sort of extra things that you can do out in the city, which is very nice. This must seem easy enough. You can have one at a time. And these are just things that you can do. Alright.
And later when you scavenge stuff, you can actually donate extra things.
We learned a new glyph. This is the corral glyph. I think we saw that one earlier. Interesting.
Could be. Might be.
He's the watchman. He's the one who stands by the gate. Can he teach you additional sigils? Oh.
Well, he can.
He can, but he
doesn't wanna.
The glyphs, that sort of teaching them is up to the shamans mainly. And they might do it if they feel like it. All right, here we go. So before you can leave, this is sort of a mini tutorial as well, in case you didn't sort of catch it the last time. Here it is again. It's asking you something you don't really know, but it says the corral last. Something corral. Okay. Well, you know that you're supposed to give the corral.
And gate happens to have that glyph.
It does happen to have it, just
Oh my.
as a kind of reminder. And there we go. The doors are open and you are free to go. Whoop. Step outside the gate.
And consider your life.
Consider your future. Well, you don't know yet all the adventures that are going to happen to you.
True.
There is your first task. It's revealed like this so that you can find it a little bit easier. All right, let's see if we can pathfind over there. Oop, that was close.
That was close.
All right, we reached it. Nice. So as you can see, we're pretty tired already, but we have lots of rations, so we're all good.
Yeah, you're good.
So now, one of the most important things actually about another mechanic that's super important is time. 1 day is 100 time. Whenever you rest, you lose 50 time, and whenever you do certain things, like for example, you can see here, this costs me 10 labor, so basic labor, tribesman, effort, and 50 time. But since I have a specialist shaman,
Gloomy weather.
yes, I can speed it up. So I'm going to do that. And I happen to know that this task needed a shaman because I made the tasks. But you can learn. You should learn these as a worker. You would learn these as well. And now you see it only takes 25 time because the shaman cleared away some wards and warnings left by previous crews. And that's much better. That means it only takes a fourth of a day. So
This is fine.
yeah. It might also, yes, what is the task? What is happening? Why are you going here unloading things and loading things? Well, that is also something that will be revealed as you play the game. It is a central part of the sort of the lore.
Yep. I have to say that when it comes to demo, we had a bit of challenge to actually, from the stuff we would like to show, have available in this demo, because it's really hard to scope down, because it's narrative driven game. So in order to also keep a bit of secrecy, in the sense that you have this whole world to explore afterwards as we launch the game. So we had to really think very carefully how and what, and to give enough information, yet not to spoil too much.
Yeah. Here's an interesting mechanical thing. You are now very tired. You have 3% left before you're exhausted. But you haven't actually lost almost any effort. You used a little bit of effort to do the work and the shaman, but you still have some effort left. So these two things are sort of separate from one another in that sense, that how much you can walk around and how much things you can do sort of with your effort. So since we have so much extra effort, and since we did promise some people some hides, let's try to get that now. Also, when we finish the task, we spawn this little clay deposit here. Now, clay is of course the name of the game and extremely important. Clay basically represents the city itself, the parts of the city, the parts of the city that aren't overgrown. And when you were working, you kind of uncovered a little bit of it. So now we can scavenge it afterwards. Scavenging also takes time, of course. And here you can see a similar choice thing that you have. How do you want to spread your scavengers out? Now, I'm gonna scavenge some scrap using, let's see. You can see I can hunt with these. I can also scavenge for food. I can look for useful things. These are things like for example herbs, and then I can scavenge for scrap. Let's put all of us in there.
All of it.
Yep.
Okay.
100%. We don't want to waste time.
Alrighty.
There we go. Send out the work crew. And now we're exhausted, but that's okay. What did we find? We found some scrap, useful, and a dead table decoration. We don't know what that is. We'll just take it. Got some loot. Right, so you see now that the clay pile there has disappeared. Now we can try to scavenge again, but now it says here that it's barren, so there's basically no point in trying to scavenge for scrap anymore. But we can always hunt. So let's see how that goes. Oh, I only have two specialist warriors, so this is not super likely to work out.
Nah, try it.
But we can try. I could also... Okay. Can these help? No, they can't help. If I had a weapon here, I could probably use that to help, but I don't have, so let's see how it goes. Yes!
That was lucky.
Let's see what we find. No hides, but we found some meat. Yeah, that can be used. Now, currently we have lots of rations because we're very close. This is the very beginning of the game, and no worries. But as you go further and further away into the dark, your rations will probably start running out, even the ones that are given to you at the start, and you might have to start making your own, which you do through this crafting. Our crafting, amazing. When you start the game, you have mainly blueprints for dismantling. Here's a nice little question mark. For dismantling things, but you can sort of make clay. That's about all you can. Hey, do we have yes, we can make some clay. Look at that. Yeah, some scrap. No, we need 2 scrap. But that's fine. Dismantle for scrap. Here we go. So basically, crafting is kind of an important part of the whole thing. You need to be able to do things in the field, and for this one you need some clay worker and some scrap, and yay, clay.
And we have it.
Now currently I don't actually need the clay for anything because I can't make anything, but that is also something that you will learn as you go along. Alright, well, we're exhausted, so we're gonna camp.
Maybe now I could say a few words about why things look the way they are. So first of all,
these are random events, by the way. These happen once and only once usually, and you have some choices here on what to do.
As you can see, also environments, but also characters are static most of the time. There will be some obviously animation and more kind of like things you can and let's call it glitter around in the sense that it will be having its own atmospheric stuff happening in the environment. But the reason why it's static mainly, or most of the game is static with the single images or combination of multiple images, is because what I want player to do is to use that as a setting, but create through reading and going through all these encounters to actually have own experience, just like when you're reading a book, just like when you are imagining when someone is telling you a story and you imagine your version of what is actually happening in the environment. So we didn't want, at least I was kind of like, we were first having the 3D even world set up and so, but no, that would be like giving too much of something that you as a player need to, we want you to have your experience, however it is in your head, so that we don't put additional images and things in your head. It's more like your journey, your way of how you experience this world. So that's one thing. Second thing, when it comes to combination of tribal and this sort of sci-fi things, because this is how the whole setup of the world is. I mean, you are in this post-apocalypse setup where you live in a tribal society. So what I have been using for combination of aesthetics is actually Petar decided, I mean, I'm originally from Belgrade, Serbia, and Petar, for some reason, I don't know what, it wasn't me, but it ended up to kind of like set up the whole map based on the Belgrade city. And I think we were just back from trip there, or whatever was it back in the day. That was the kind of, anyway, he got inspired with it, went with it. I was like, sure, if we are doing that as a setup, then I would like to use some old patterns as Slag, but also Balkan kind of like the old um, literally patterns, like uh, in a way of folklore kind of part there that would go through um, all of this time, because once the technology kind of let's say um, that people got uh, scared of, actually they went back to this sort of like nature and more spiritual and more kind of the roots where they're kind of like to the actual like where they and finding the way where they belong. And this is where these tribes in general, because there are also other tribes out there that you will be encountering with, um, that you have things to also share and communicate with the different signs and things and so on. So basically, there's a lot of symbolism in behind it, and again, we want you to basically imagine what happens there, while we give a little bit of kind of visual setup, but the rest is all in your head. So, as I said, pretty much as you read a book or as you listen to a story or whatever it is that you do. So yeah, that's why there won't be any, I don't know what kind of like super big I don't know, cutscenes with or any of that, because even dialogues and in-game relationships are the things that based on how you do stuff, what you interact with, how you respond to you know, everyone and everything around you. Also, another thing, there will be these also additional encounters that you can interact with the environment and things you actually come across, characters, animals, things like that. So it's not just like this hunting. You can actually pet a cat or check a deer, because deers are like you're having this city is overgrown and there is a lot of stuff happening around. So so in all of these ruins and things, you can encounter various kinds of creatures. Some are cute, some are not, but still, it gives you an opportunity to explore more. So yeah, that's the reasoning behind this kind of aesthetics. That, well, we believe it works with the type of lore and the type of storytelling we want to give with this game. So this is not something that we have ever done like this before. More like commercial kind of game dev, where you need to do all this, you know. Like, but no, this is very kind of, I would dare to say, artsy approach to interactive storytelling, and we're just trying things out and want to hear, of course, your feedback and your thoughts on experiences as well. So yeah.
I mean, if you haven't figured it out already, this game is like a lot of reading, like a lot. It's yeah, reading is kind of the name of the game. I mean, my main inspiration is probably like Fallen London and Sunless Sea and Sunless Skies, which have this kind of same idea that the most important thing is the story itself, and the mechanics are used to let you unlock the story at a sort of at a certain pace. Like, it paces the unlocking of the story. So you get the stuff in little kind of bits and pieces as you play. And here we go. These are also picked.
Lara. Okay. Our producer is back. This is Lara, and she's making sure everything goes according to plan.
If you're wondering about sort of this pattern of going back, doing things, this is like very much on purpose also, like that this is how they live their lives. They do this work. But it might be noted that it's not just going back and forth and doing these tasks non-stop. This is just what the sort of your Baba would like you to do, what you're supposed to do as a good sort of citizen, not a citizen, but a good tribesman, a good leader. But there will be other things sort of dragging at your attention, shall we say, things that you will discover, and secrets and sort of alternate paths to take and you will have to sort of start making decisions pretty soon about how you are going to approach that. Like, are you going to...
And trust me, you will want to explore. So that will be another thing that you as a player, you will want to go further away. And yeah, there will be, there's a lot of things out there to explore and discover. And yeah, that's all I will say, because
here I wanted to have a clay worker, since I know I need a clay worker to make this one better. But I also need some tribesmen, so... Strategic.
Imagine that.
Mm-hmm.
Planning ahead.
Yes. He will give you rations as much as you need, but no more. So if you have like a ton of... You can't use it to create a huge pile of rations. Oh, by the way, there's just a couple of things you can do here also. You can go to your clan home. They will basically give you like a ton of bonus effort. So for example, shaman effort, clay worker effort, and so forth. If you need help with crafting something. So here, for example, if I just wanted to make some meat, I can steal some of their labor basically and make myself some rations out of these. Now I have got 5 extra rations, so I don't have to. There. Alright, here's our task. We're almost at the end of the demo, I think. Oop. Aha. This is a continuation of the previous task. These random encounters are little mini stories that have like several bits, and then they come in various orders as you play, and in each area also will have their own stories like this, and more importantly, as time goes on, these stories will also, some of them will sort of time out, if you will. They won't be available anymore, and others will change, or basically this is another random task. Let's see. Ooh, we found a clay deposit. Very nice.
Nice.
Let's scavenge that just for fun before we rest.
At least I am guilty of scavenging all the time, everywhere. I know I shouldn't as much as I do, but I love exploring and finding things, and there's a lot of stuff you can find in the world.
Well, I found some stuff. I'm gonna rest. Exhausted beyond measure. There we go.
Yeah,
This
you can just do that. Hopefully no
zones.
extra. Yes. Well, okay. This shouldn't be a bad one.
No, this is just a random encounter. A swarm. What's that? That doesn't seem good. Something has killed a bunch of tribesmen. Now you have to hunt it down. But it's not a bot. It's something else. Let's see if we can get home before we get exhausted. Oh, I didn't even. Oh.
Setting up an ambush. Yes.
Yes. But I didn't have any warriors to help me hunt it, so I couldn't hunt it, unfortunately.
That's fine.
You can also go a little Aloy sometimes. So I'm just going to show you what happens if you try to walk when exhausted. Nothing might happen. Let's see. Ah, there we go. Ew. You got a Tail of Ruin. No one likes it when you're trying to force
Don't crunch your team.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. More Tales of Ruin. And
Tales of Ruin.
you actually got yourself a consequence as well. So somebody can read here, falls over in exhaustion, but I'm just going to have myself fall over in exhaustion. Be exhausted. See, my condition went down.
A little bit more.
Oh, there we go. But that is, in fact, we're 16 days in, so we've reached the end of the demo. It is playable through. Takes about an hour to play through it. Of course, I didn't read almost anything, so it will probably take longer if somebody actually bothers to read what it says. Oh, see, you only got 2 out of 5 trust. I have tried this, and it is possible. So just as a challenge to everyone who's watching this, try to see if you can actually make it happen. I didn't succeed this time because I got very unlucky with my hunts, and I didn't focus on the hunt. I didn't take any warriors with me, and I didn't have. If I would have been a war chief, I could have gotten a lot more warriors with me every time. But so it was maybe a bad idea to take that one, the hides one, as a community task. But oh well.
It's fine.
Yeah, I know.
I usually go with herbs.
Herbs,
Just a hint.
herbs
That's
are good.
very easy to get,
They
and
are
you
pretty-
can also make them, especially
It's true.
from plant matter. So
You can make herbs.
yes, it's totally fine too, and that's much easier to go with.
Now she will tell you. You know what?
What?
I'm just not gonna end it.
You're not gonna end it?
No, I think people should see the ending themselves.
Well then, if that's the case, we're gonna do this. So we are gonna not actually end the. You need to play yourself.
You need to play it yourself.
Yes. But one announcement before we close, because
Is it supposed to do that?
no, it's okay. It's gonna reconnect. So one thing that I want to say before we end for today is that we're also preparing an art book based on the story, the lore, and
Well, on the pretty art.
all the kind of like not just pretty, and not just the point is that the world itself that we have been building, we will have an art book with which will be launching on Kickstarter in the beginning of 2022, middle of January or so. So if you want to know more about that, make sure to also check our website, check the art book page, and also subscribe to our newsletter. But more, I think it would be much easier just to join our Discord, meet the rest of the team, and yeah, just be part of the crew.
Yes.
It would be lovely to have you.
Yes. So it was so nice to get to talk about the game, and I hope you got inspired to try the demo yourself, and wishlist and all that stuff.
Yes, and we are preparing otherwise to launch as soon as possible. So we hope that you had fun. And yeah, any questions and feedback, we are looking forward to hear from you.
The forums are also open for anything else, so please, I'm lurking there all the time.
Yes, we are there. Thank you so much, and thank you for your time.
Yeah, all right.
See ya. Bye.